There is a major report coming in from Portugal suggesting that Manchester United have already agreed a deal in principle for Giovanni Quenda to join from Sporting Lisbon in the summer. Now, I've spoken about this before, but this time, more than ever, it is most likely bound to happen. And I'm going to take you back to last year when Man United was sealing the deal for Ruben Amorim to join Manchester United from Sporting. What exactly was discussed behind the deal? Subscribe to the United Sport, like, share, and of course, do comment, because this one is sort of, should I call it a scoop? If you want, you can call it that. But I've taken time to make my research about what exactly was agreed between INEOS, Sporting Lisbon, the Sporting Lisbon players, and Ruben Amorim when United were pricing him out, and his backroom staff, by the way, from Sporting. Now, we do know that Manchester United, when they sacked Eric Ten Hag and wanted to go for Ruben Amorim, they certainly had to make certain sacrifices, including paying lots of money, first of all as compensation to Eric Ten Hag, but also money to Sporting Lisbon to get Ruben Amorim out of his deal. The ideal deal for Amorim and Sporting would have been for him to stay until the end of this season at Sporting, because they had a good season going on for them. They were cruising in the league, in the Portuguese top flight. They were beating Man City and the likes in the UEFA Champions League. It was looking good, and the players were happy. So they felt like it was going to be a competitive season for them under Amorim. Here we are, Ten Hag sacked, Ineos bought the next flight to Portugal, to Sporting, to get him. They are saying we are living with him. Now, Amorim pleaded with Ineos, telling them, guys, I know you want me. I want to join Man United, but I respect Sporting. Leave me until the end of the season. I need a preseason, because the kind of football I play is different from what your players are used to, what you signed them for. I need a preseason, but also I want to have a good season with my team. I can't leave them hanging after starting things so well. And Ineos were impatient. That's why they said, we are going to pay for you and your backroom staff, whoever you will need, to immediately come in and save the ship. Now, that is the deal. But in accepting this deal, because it got to a point where Amorim either took it or they went for someone else, because he was not the only manager alive in football. Certainly, Ineos had their list, but Amorim is the one they zeroed on. So Amorim says, I can't miss this opportunity, talks to Sporting Lisbon, and he had a relationship with some of the players of Sporting. And some of the players must have gone like, boss, you're the guy who made us. I'm talking players like Giovanni Quenda himself, Victor Gyökeres, name them. Most of these players had only played competitive top flight football under Ruben Amorim. And he's the guy they knew. They believed in how he played. They knew his way. They understood him. They loved him. So it is being revealed again, and these are things that came in from Portugal. That there was a deal between, first of all, Sporting and Man United, and Amorim himself, out of respect for Amorim not to pick any Sporting players in January, because this is critical, because the reason why Sporting Lisbon ensured that agreement, that gentleman's deal, that gentleman's agreement was made, was because they knew the attachment that most players had to Ruben Amorim and the influence he would have on them, that if he left, many players would have wanted to follow him instantly. So they agreed with Ineos and Amorim that, you know what, we know these players want you, we know you want them, we know Man United will want them for the system you play, but please respect us and let us finish this season with them. Don't touch any of our players. That's why Amorim was open in a press conference, and he said he's not touching any Sporting players until the end of the season. However, at a personal level, there are certain players he promised that in the summer, at the first available opportunity, if resources allow at Man United, we know there is an issue in terms of finances, issues caused by the Glazers and how they took loans and used players as collateral. So 50% of every money that Man United makes goes to servicing the debts that the Glazers got. By the way, that's the nitty-gritty of the issues that the Glazers, sank Man United into, the debt issue. But going back to the point, Amorim promises these players that, you know what, if the resources allow, we are coming for you. So By default, there was a gentleman's agreement, or in principle, there is an agreement for players, and some of these players are believed to be one, Giovanni Quenda, who we know Amorim made. He got him from the Sporting B team and promoted him to the senior team and made him, programmed him into the exact wing back he wants. That's why he is one of the first players we would want to pick from Sporting, because he's young, he's only 17. So, first of all, he's the right age for Man United. Man United can spend money on young players because they are investing for the future. So Quenda suits that, even if he's a bit pricey. He's pricey because he's even a national team player, despite his age. He's a special, unique talent who has been made by Amorim. So he's one of those players who are promised that, you know what, when the opportunity comes, we're coming for you, because certainly INEOS, just like the Glazers did, have got to spend some bit of money for Ruben Amorim to try and get the profiles of players he needs in his team. So this is just to give you a background of why this Giovanni Quenda deal could be true, that there was an agreement between Ruben Amorim and Sporting and these players, that when Man United gets to that point when they can buy players, I'm coming for you. Now, it doesn't mean, and this is what the reports that are coming from Portugal now are saying, that the deal was already agreed for Quenda to join Man United and another player, one or two other players. People think it's Gyökeres. I don't think so. Gyökeres is a bit pricey, but perhaps it could be. I just don't think he's one of those. But Quenda certainly is. Don't be surprised if even the midfielder Julemand is one of those, because clearly there is a need there. Julemand would be a perfect partner for Manuel Ugarte, because he's a ball-playing central midfielder, or any other player in the back line. But that's just to give you paint a picture of the agreement that could have been agreed now. But it doesn't mean that it's a must now that Man United will get these players. Man United sort of has the first refusal option, but there's a possibility that Man United fails to raise the funds, because even if the deal is there and the players want to follow Amorim, they won't go for free. Man United is supposed to pay the money, whether in installments, but they're supposed to agree on a fee, probably 50 million or so pounds for Quenda, and whichever other players they would want. United has got to be able to afford that money. If they don't, there will be other clubs interested in Quenda. There will be other clubs interested in Julemand or Gyökeres or Inacio or whichever other players they promise to go for when the opportunity comes. So that's pretty much the situation between Amorim, INEOS, Sporting, and the Sporting players. So guys, as we approach the summer, and people think it's so far, it's not so far. Man United now is planning for the future. Arsenal is planning for the future. Most clubs are planning for the future, for the summer, because they do want to make it a quick window where you make your signings so early and get enough time with your players, all your new signings, and have a proper preseason with them. So Man United is thinking that's why they did not do a lot of business in January anyway. So they are trying to do their math to see what they can do, and this is a bit of the plan. It's a sneak peek into what could happen. So guys, watch out going forward for Man United and the possibility of getting some Sporting players. If it doesn't happen, it will probably be because of the lack of money to finance the deals. But that's pretty much what was agreed on paper. Someone will say, Webb, why then would Man United spend 50 million on Quenda, yet we are saying let's use the academy players? Like I said, INEOS are willing to invest in a young player. If they can afford to invest in a young wing back, a 17-year-old, he's as young as the academy kids, but he's just a bit ahead of them in terms of playing in the Amorim system, but also in terms of playing senior football. So that is still seen as an investment for the future, not signing a player of 28 for the same amount. That's what INEOS won't do, because this is a player they can still buy for 50 million and sell later at double the price, because he's young, he's got so much, his best is ahead of him. Those are investments INEOS can make. Get that? And I think for me, there's no issues with. That's why they signed Lenny Yoro and all these players that have brought in. But that is exactly what's going on with Man United. Let's follow and see what exactly is bound to happen. My name is Webb. This is the United of Sport. Like, share, and subscribe. And of course, it's a very difficult day today, by the way. More people are going to be laid off already. About 250 people have been made redundant by INEOS since they took over. More are going to be made redundant. Why? To solve the same problem I've told you. The debts, the money that Man United can spend is less by half, is a half of whatever profit they, even if whatever revenue they bring, they can only deal with spend a half of it in terms of trying to help the team, because a half of it goes to paying a debt, servicing a debt. So that's why INEOS are trying to look for every possible avenue to increase that a half, the 50% they can spend, so that they can be able to make the club move, buy players, and sign contracts, pay players wages and stuff. It's a difficult situation that these Glazers put Man United in. No wonder there are people who are still preaching Glazers out, Glazers out. I personally see the Glazers wouldn't sell. The way their father just took over magically Man United, and he was buying shares for fun and intimidating people and getting shares, boldly and stuff. I don't see them selling the legacy of their dad. So we might as well be used to it and just pray that INEOS figure out the solutions for Man United. We'll talk about the Glazers things and all later on when I'm in the mood. I think we spoke about them so long before INEOS bought that I want to give that a break and focus more on the football and what Ruben Amorim is doing, because for me, I've got some positivity in me. There's a lot of positivity in what I believe we can achieve. Subscribe, like, and share, and let me catch you later, fam.